What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we have my 2023 Toyota GR Supra alongside my brother's newly purchased 2023 Toyota GR86, and we're gonna compare these two cars. So the Supra is about $60,000, GR86 is about $30,000. So this is half the price. Does that mean it is half the fun? Now, if we go ahead and start looking at some of the performance specifications for these cars, underneath the hood on the Toyota Supra, you're gonna find a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged motor with 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque, paired either to the ZF 8-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual transmission. Underneath the GR86, you're gonna find the 2.4-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder boxer motor. It's pumping out 228 horsepower with 184 pound-feet of torque, either paired to a 6-speed manual or the 6-speed automatic. Now, both of these cars are rear-wheel drive with limited slip rear differentials. There is a big weight difference. This car is about 2,800 pounds versus 3,400 pounds in the Supra. And when you look on paper as far as specifications for performance data, the automatic Supra is gonna do 0 to 60 in about 3.8 seconds. Manual is gonna be closer to 4.1. On the GR86, the automatic is gonna do about 5.4 seconds 0 to 60, manual coming in at 6.2. So there's definitely a big difference in performance and power. Of course, twice the price, you're going to expect that. But this video is all about the fun factor. Are you gonna have less fun in this car because of that? Now, if you're new to the channel, we do have a website where we sell all sorts of aftermarket parts for the Toyota Supra. And now with the GR86, you can view many of those same performance parts for your own Toyota GR86. So don't worry guys, Mike will be modifying this shortly. But when you look at the styling, they definitely have some similarities with that longer front end, that coupe-like design, given they are coupes, of course. You do have small back seats in the 86, no back seats in the Supra. So you can tell there's some similarities there within the family. So before we go ahead and drive these cars, let's take a look at the interior. For $30,000, you still get a pretty cool design overall. You're gonna see your toggles and dials down below for all the climate control. So it's pretty nicely laid out, got a cool digital display that kind of looks like that boxer motor. And then of course, a nice leather wrapped steering wheel, 6-speed manual of course, bucket seats. So it's a nice place to be for sure. And at the price point, you know, it feels pretty well done. Of course, you have these back seats, so it's pretty roomy. And you do have really good glass in the car to make it feel like a pretty open car. So then now hopping into the Supra, of course at double the cost, this definitely feels much more plush, much more luxurious. While the seats are also a nice bucket design with the leather material and just the padding, they feel more premium. The materials are definitely nicer, feels a lot more weighted in here. When you start it up, you got a lot more engine sound and just feeling of performance in this car. Carbon fiber, smaller 2-door, 2-seater car, a little bit more hunkered down for all the glass. But you can definitely tell there's a nice step up with the BMW intervention on this car versus the Subaru intervention on that 86. With that said, let's go for a spin, see about the fun factor on these cars. All right, so to start off, we're in the 86. Let's get my bearings with what this car's like to drive. Then I'll drive the Supra, and then we're gonna hop back in this to finish it up. So this is certainly a fun car. Obviously, half the price of a Supra makes it a pretty attractive car to buy. Mike paid about 30 grand for this, so pretty nice. My car was about 60 out the door, so literally half the cost. This thing does handle really well. We have a low center of gravity. While no, it doesn't have that much power, it's so lightweight and such a flat car in the turns, you can just rip through the corners and it's just a joy. The manual is easy to rev match, fun to go through the gears. And over the original FRS, the GT86 and stuff like that with the smaller engine, this car does have just that extra little bit of power to get out of its own way. I feel like the previous generations were just a little too sluggish. This still gets me to 60. Like, I'm not really concerned about that extra speed. Man. It truly is a car. Hopping in this, like, I am having fun. There is no doubt about that. Going through the turns, rowing through the gears, I can really use this car. And that is something cool with a car that's not all too fast. I can redline this, I can beat on it, I can absolutely drive this car like I stole it. And I'm not really ever speeding or breaking the law. So it's a cool car to where you certainly have the fun factor. Now, as far as some normal driving and things like that, it's not that premium or refined. It's not bad though. It's a nice car. It's fine. It's comfortable enough. Of course, it's roomy. It does feel pretty quiet on the road, so it's not like it's just a little EcoBox tin can car or anything like that. It feels like a pretty decently put together car at a lower cost. You got some plastics. Of course, this one is a base model, so we just have the fabric seats. You can option this with a premium package for another $5,000 or so and get the leather Alcantara and stuff like that. So for the price, I don't feel like it's too expensive for what you have on the interior. There are definitely economy car aspects to it, but the price point's low enough to where you can kind of forgive it. If this was $45,000, that'd be a big difference, because that would be way too much for a more basic interior. However, in this car, it does feel sporty, and like I said, I'm having fun ripping through the gears, driving it, handles well, really can't complain. All right, so back into the Supra now. Holy crap, that's fast. Wow, so there is definitely a huge difference going into the Supra after the 86. Of course, another $30,000 to get into this car. It feels very weighted in here, and I kind of want to say it feels heavy, not in the sense of it doesn't handle well, but everything feels very solid and just a next step up in a premium feel. This feels like a high-end premium brand, which makes a lot of sense. It was developed with BMW. So you can feel that in this car. Of course, you have all the more luxury technology. Of course, you have adaptive suspension, steering, all sorts of fancy drive modes you're going to find in any expensive car, quite honestly. Gosh, with this car, you definitely have power. Gosh, you have some power. Going through the turns, though, you definitely carry a lot more speed. Like, you'll hit 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, honestly, without really thinking in this car. So it's a big difference going from a car with 200 some horsepower to a car with 400 horsepower. Wow, this is nice. Now, another cool thing with this, as a daily driver, this definitely has that step up in refinements, luxury feeling, all that sort of thing, to where, like I said, this just feels like a higher end car, like a BMW, a Porsche Cayman. That sort of car is where this competes with, and it certainly shows. Now, as far as the fun factor, you can have a lot of fun in a Supra. You can also get to the edge of the Supra's limits and be in some serious trouble. Turning the traction control off on this, knowing you can hit triple-digit speeds so quickly in this car. You can break speed limits very easily. You can get the tail end out very quickly at high speeds too, to where you kind of have to really pay attention with this car. This isn't a car to take lightly. You know, it's not anything too crazy, and you know, it's not 700 horsepower or anything like that. But you can get the rear end out and do some stuff in this. It's fun though. I mean, it is fun playing with the power, playing with just the nicer interior. Handles great. It feels like any high-end sports car would. Gosh, there's definitely a big difference. You are getting the extra 30 grand out of this. I think it's very well worth double the price. But back to the fun factor, we're hopping back in the 86 in a second to see if it's still that fun after now driving in this. But you have a lot of fun factor in this Supra just with everything this thing has to offer. Gosh, everything is more precise feeling. Man. All right, back in the 86. I have to say, even coming from the Supra just now, this doesn't actually feel slow. Now, it's not fast. It doesn't throw you back in your seat hitting 100 miles an hour, but it's peppy enough to where I still accelerated. While it didn't really push me, I was moving. So the car still accelerates pretty well. So speed honestly isn't a thing you feel like you're losing in this car. I know today's day and age, you know, looking at the specs on the car, the specs on paper make a big difference. Around VIR, the Supra does that track in 16 seconds quicker than this. That's quite a long time. So that car is more serious, is more performance focused, can do better lap times, drag times. It will always beat this. However, when you're just looking at fun on these back roads and things like that, maybe an autocross, the handling is where the fun is. That car handles well, it weighs more, so it's got a bigger footprint. It needs the bigger brakes, the bigger power to send it around these twisties at a good speed to be able to slow it down, get it faster and things like that. Because this car weighs so little, while I'm not getting pinned to my seat coming out of any turn, it carries its weight so well to where I can still get to 60 without really thinking and just go through those same turns going 60 miles an hour. Doesn't matter if you're in this car or that car, going around those same turns at 60 in either car is kind of where the fun is. So honestly, this in no way is half as much fun as the Toyota Supra. I would say it's the same amount of fun, just a little bit different. Yes, it is fun flooring it in a fast car and moving. It is definitely an exhilarating thing to do. It's cool. Winning track times, winning drag races, winning any kind of race, yeah, that's fun too, sure. However, 99% of the time, nobody's competing. Even when I own my GTR, I think I raced somebody one time. You just don't do that. At least I certainly don't. I'm just kind of having fun on the back roads, the country roads, taking the turns. And when I can handle perfectly and just be so pinpointy and precise, toss the car around, throw it around, and drive it where I want to go, and pretty quickly at the same time, I have a blast. So I love the fact that Toyota has developed two really cool sports cars at different budgets to where you don't have to feel bad that you're in the 86. You know, everyone starts somewhere, everybody's working towards certain goals, and this is an amazing car for half the cost. And you can kind of have like an innocent fun in this car. And what I mean by that is going around these turns at 55, you know, I can push the gas pedal full throttle and only get to like 65. It's not that fast. The Supra doing that same thing, I probably would have hit about 80 miles an hour. Like I said, you can get into some trouble. You can go around a turn in this car and not really break the speed limit, slow down to the next turn and have fun. The Supra, you know, fast cars like that, you can easily break the speed limit and then you have to slow down even harder to do the next turn because you can just go so much faster. So this is a car that you can just get on, kind of rip it, and you're not really going to be worrying about breaking laws, breaking limits, and exceeding its limits on the road. So honestly, what a heck of a bang for the buck sports car. I think Toyota did price them perfectly though, 30 and 60. It just seems a really good sweet spot for each car, to where I think you truly do get all of the car for the money. And being in this car coming from the Supra, well, it's certainly not as refined, luxurious, things like that, not as fast. Because it's half the price, I don't fault it at all. I've been in other cars that aren't much cheaper than the Supra to where they're just lacking so much for 5-6 grand. This car at half the cost, it feels perfect. Not to say I wouldn't mind this having the turbo 3-cylinder from a GR Corolla, maybe making it $40,000. I think that would be a really, really interesting combination. I don't know if they'll do that or not. But as far as the GR86 goes, you can buy this car and be smiling for days. You don't have to drop twice the money just to get into the Supra. If you want a half-price fun sports car, you're gonna have every bit as much fun in the GR86. That is then it comparing Mike's new GR86 to my Supra. I certainly do love my Supra, but this car is a great bang for the buck. If you're interested in an affordable sports car, this is a car to put on the list. And if you do own either of these cars, check out our website linked below. We have so many performance parts for the Supra and are adding more and more every day for the GR86. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all in the next video.